Hi, welcome back to Gar Games. Sorry I haven't been around. I've been honestly just trying to get past this level, and let's see if I did. Okay, it just occurred to me that I had, and I have been so stuck on a loop that I just started it over again. Sorry. So maybe you guys get to watch me breeze through it. Maybe you guys don't. Nope, you guys don't. Sorry. That's on the cutting room floor, and I think it deserves to be. So off I go to Candy to get saved. Pointed. Save pointed. So yeah, uh, this was another Funky Kong was another really exciting feature for me as a kid to be able to go back to another world and be able to get easy power ups or just revisit a fun level. I mostly did it for the lives. That was a cool thing to do because before then I just had to move on and constantly grind. And this game mechanic here was also a revolutionary one for me. Diddy is lighter and can make jumps better than DK, just like how DK can destroy stronger enemies. That was neat to me because before then it had just been, say, in Super Mario, where the only difference between Mario and Luigi was the color palette. There had never been anything like that before in my experience. At this level, it's sorry, I can already tell I want to talk, and because I know that's the point of it. That's the point of these two. But I also realize if I just keep playing poorly, people won't really want to watch that. So I'm trying to balance between the two. It's an art form, I guess. I probably keep using that wrong. Whoops, that's what I get. See, I had forgotten that that little circle spells rare. You're supposed to do ARRE to get something. So we're gonna probably try and swing by that level again and get whatever that is. I think it's an extra life. I can't really remember. As I had stated before, I'd played this game as a kid, beat it a couple times, but it's probably been it's been years since I've played this game, so I don't really remember everything. And I like to use Diddy as much as possible because he's faster and he jumps. More importantly, he jumps better than Donkey Kong does. So I'm shooting for that to get through this in a decent amount of time because I know that you guys don't just want to see me dying constantly over and over again. That's boring. You guys want to see a progression of the game, and hopefully at some point I could move on to another game too. I technically could. I could just stop here and move on to another game, but I'd rather not. Finish what I started. You know, it's like the semi-completionist in me. So I can appreciate the amp up in difficulty here because it really did go from whoops, it really did go from being finish it in 16 and a half minutes of level one to oh this takes multiple tries and there's actually challenging jumps and there's tricky timing. There's those those naughties, naughty beavers in those wheels are just oh they're a bugaboo. They're a bugaboo. So yeah, but it's also not impossible to do, which is wonderful. Nice balance. Beginners can love it, and so can intermediate to expert players. Maybe expert players might get a little bored of it because, well, they're experts. Yeah, I used to be. Oh, yeah, never mind. I was gonna start rambling about how I used to be an expert game player when I was a kid and how I used to win all sorts of awards. All sorts meaning one, of course. But I won't do that because I already talked about it, and there's not much to say other than I went into game. I went into Blockbuster every day, rented games, and then all of a sudden I stumbled upon it, signed up for it, had a nice weekend off, nailed it, and didn't go anywhere else with it. Yeah, I've never, obviously, I never became any sort of professional gaming champion, etc. It was just an exciting fluke thing, one of many exciting things I've done in my life, having many an eventful, many events in my childhood to speak about. I once entered my local fishing competition too. That was pretty successful as well. I don't think I, oh my gosh, really thinking about it as much as in my mind I can remember. Oh yeah, I got like in the top three, top five. I did so well in that, but the more I think about it, I do believe with my dad's help slash complete doing, I caught a fish and I got a participation award. Because I can remember in my mind, they gave me a certificate for somewhere, and geez, a can opener, I think. I remember it being a can opener or something like that. And it had a little fish on it, and I was so excited. I was like, "Yay! I won something!" But most likely, this was just a good job. You showed up and you did it, kid. Good job. Because I doubt at 6 years old I was some kind of fishing prodigy. If I was, well, then my life would obviously look much, much, much different than it is. I've never been obsessed with something so bigly that it impacts my life to where I'm that kind of Bobby Fischer, etc. type of prodigy. I'm no prodigy. I definitely enjoy lots of things, and I could definitely say that music and gaming have been a huge part of my life, a huge passion. Both of them have brought me through lots of comfort, encouragement, and helped me just think and grow and develop myself and evolve. You know, that's the right word. That's the word I'm using. Evolve myself as a human being. It's cool. It's cool how those things. Not only is video games just really great for your hand-eye coordination. They they can help you think critically, especially when like PC games. I was never into PC games as a child. I didn't have the patience for them. I was like, what is this? I don't want to be thinking. I want to be able to just get past things. And if something took in reference to those games, I just don't know what exactly the difference was, to be honest, because I could easily just sit for hours at a time on Mario or something like this, and have no problem with it. But get me a game where I'm actually slower paced. I think that was it. I was just kind of an ADD-esque kid, where the slower pace, the atmosphere, very much like a movie, novel, reading style of those old school adventure games, just didn't appeal to me. I was like, where's my activity in this? Where's my participation? I click some things, I read, I have to do math. Oh man, math and logic puzzles were not my favorite thing at all. I did not exceed well in school as a child in terms of math and science. Later on, I started to grasp the concepts, but when I was younger, it just was not my cup of tea at all. I was definitely a hyperactive kid who liked to be outside, who liked to just go fast. It's definitely a change from who I am now. But that was my main problem. I just could not focus. So when something requires a lot of focus and energy, hang on, sorry, yeah, you guys can see some of my school notes. So, wow, flashback. I just literally again another penny, another switch, another railroad switch on my train of thought. Yeah, what was I talking about? I completely forgot. Anyways, the next station, Riff Tracks. Riff Tracks is so funny. I enjoyed them a lot. I had been watching Mystery Science Theater for the past 10 years or so. So once I exhausted, and I still watch them, I still rewatch them because some of them are so funny. But once I exhausted every single one of those episodes, at least the ones that are commercially available, I know there's a bunch that aren't, and I have still honestly yet to gain the desire to watch the KTMA episodes because they are so improv and puttery and slow. Hey, much like my videos. Oh man. Uh, but anyways, so then I've been moving on to Riff Tracks, which is three of the main is Mike Nelson, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett, who the first two were, some of the people who had been with Mystery Science Theater from the beginning, and Bill Corbett joined around the sci-fi era, which is the last 3 seasons of the show, 2.5 years, that equivalent, I'm sure, 2 years, whatever. So they just carry on the legacy of riffing movies, but they do new movies too, which is cool. And it's just very entertaining. And I've been getting in. I watched Manos: The Hands of Fate yesterday, and it was better than the Mystery Science Theater 2000 original. I bet that's super controversial, but I think it was because in the original, you can just tell that the depressing, grainy, amateur, black hole, nothing, depressingness of the movie just really overwhelmed the Mystery Science Theater writing crew, and they had to struggle for good jokes for it. With some of the other ones, it was like, pew pew pew. They were snapping off some really great pop culture references, running gags, etc. On this one, they had to struggle for it. You can just tell at the beginning during the long driving scene, they're just like, "So, Manos." It's like that awkward silence where it's like we're between two people or a group where people are just like, "So, baseball, huh? Yeah, the weather." It was like that, and it's funny because they're a talented group of people, so their charisma could make lines that were just could be so boring. Not so much so, but with the Riff Tracks gang, it's a whole different ball game. Not only are they doing it live, and Mystery Science Theater and Monos have been out for a while, and so the reputation is there. The reputation's there, so everyone knows what to expect. It's much more lighter. It's much more fun. It's on the level of Rocky Horror Picture Show, where there can be callbacks and audience participation, which there was a lot of in the show. That helped a lot. That the audience was really into it, laughing and groaning and pointing out things sometimes that the guys didn't necessarily make some jokes. The audience could make their own little riffs along with the guys. It was fun. It was really fun in that sense. And the guys seemed to enjoy it more because again, I think the shock of seeing it the first time had worn off, and it was not as I'm sure it was still difficult because even at one point in the movie where one of the characters goes, "I can't go on," Mike goes, "Oh, that was you, Bill, right?" During rehearsal, it's just like, "I can't go on, leave me here." So I'm sure because the movie is just oh man, there's a difference between okay, this is amateurish, but I can still respect it, and it's still good quality. And this is just pure arrogance and incompetence and a mean-spirited bleakness that bleeds through. Again, all those things can work well, can work for a movie, but not in the case of Manos. The story goes, for those of you who don't know, is that the director Hal Warren had made a bet with some famous writer. I can't remember his name, but he was friends with a well-known author. He said like, "Oh, it's really easy to make a movie. I'll do it. I'll write, produce, and direct it, organize it all." And so he did, and it was supposed to be, ooh, scary cult and evil goat men and just scary darkness. And people laughed when it was premiered at some theater in local theater. It was laughed out. The cast and crew just left in shame because instead of at the very least enjoying it in the way they hoped they would, people just thought it was a joke. And then it disappeared into obscurity for about 20 odd years until Mystery Science Theater found it, or Comedy Central found it, and gave it to Mystery Science Theater and said, "You want to riff on this week?" And then Mystery Science Theater's like, "I guess so, sure." And then, of course, obviously, as they watched it, they were just like slack jawed, like, how could this? This is really the worst movie ever made, and it's definitely gained infamy for that, but also in a positive way too. That's why, as I said before, the Riff Raps version is better because the establishment's there. It's not somebody watching something for the first time and just going, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh." They're much more desensitized to it. And I think that helps with a lot of, and maybe too, their just their skills have gotten better over the years. When the Riff Tracks guys first started doing Mystery Science Theater, they were just amateurs at scripting and writing professionally. They definitely weren't improvers. If you watch the KTMA episodes, you'll see that there's a lot of points where the guys are just watching the movie and just like you can tell that they're just trying to find jokes, trying to find spots, and they just can't think of anything off the top of their heads. Some people argue that the original Servo, who is Josh J. Elvis Weinstein, was actually quite good at improv. And well, I haven't watched enough of those to say yay or nay to that. But Joel Robin, Joel Hodgson, and Trace Ballou were just not good improvers at all. And you can tell once they started scripting things, they started to do running gags. They started to insert a lot of pop culture references. Running gags and pop culture references are, I do believe, the most popular things on Mystery Science Theater. Riff Tracks uses it a lot less because they aren't really an established like serial like Mystery Science Theater was. They're just they just are like they just riff on movies. They aren't a TV show, so it's a whole different beast. But they've just gotten they age like a fine wine. So they've gotten funnier and sharper and faster. And I think unlike Joel too, they're less dry. They're less dry in their delivery. They're less they're more comfortable being in front of people and having being in the spotlight relatively. They're not like super commercial Hollywood. They're definitely able to control their own image, etc. But Joel was never particularly comfortable doing that, and that's part of the reason why he left the program and did his own thing. If you see him recently, he's still kind of that. This is his personality. I think he's just a very introverted man who would just be more behind the scenes and create things, and he does great at that. But being upfront is just not his forte. That's why he has someone else doing it. He has someone else playing the Riffer in the human Riffer in the rebooted Mystery Science Theater that's coming out soon. I'm excited for that. I don't know. At first, I wasn't very sure about it. At first, I was like, oh, geez, the old, which I'm starting to learn isn't fair. The old stereotype of, oh, it's not the original cast, etc. Oh, where's always behind the scenes, blah blah. So it's not going to be as good because it just doesn't have Trace Ballou or Frank Conniff or Kevin Murphy or anybody like that. But then I really realized that's okay because it's still a lot of the Mystery Science Theater alumnus are coming back to help write and create the show. So that's exciting. I really realized that it's okay if it's new people because you think about it, Bo Corbett was a new guy and he brought a whole new element to the character of Crow. So to say that the other guys can't do that isn't fair. And even as hard as it can be to think about, we're so used to Kevin Murphy. Kevin Murphy was a new guy once too, and he brought a whole new element to Tom Servo that people enjoy. So I'm not too concerned about it.
It's 16
I
hours.
saw them riff something with the Game Grumps, and it was. I think that was. It wasn't very good. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. But I think that has less to do with their talent and their riffing ability because they were still like you can tell they were good, but it was more of an improv thing. I don't think it was very scripted. It was something at some sort of convention, I do believe. So again, it wasn't reflective of what the show is going to look like. I think, and I mean they have like Patton Oswalt on the writing team, and also I think he's like the new TV's Frank too. So once it's in its scripted format, I think it'll be a worthy successor to Mystery Science Theater OG. So yeah, ending that, yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what will be done with it. And I'm really grateful that I could shake off the whole. It's just not the same because that's just not fair. Because I definitely realized that there's tons of new editions or new versions of old things that I used to like that I definitely enjoyed. So I'm excited. I'm excited for it to come out. And I also realized that I am out of time for today, so I'm going to keep. This is going to become a running gag, isn't it? Oh man. So I'm going to keep chugging along with this, and hopefully get to either the next world or the very least the next level. And I will show you guys that next time. All right, guys. Thanks. See you later. Love you.